The cool kids sit at the back of the bus.
What games did you watch last night?
I basically just watched the OSU Penn State game, and then I watched the I watched the Oregon Arizona State game, and I only watched that because I saw that they were losing.
I did watch the Oregon Arizona State. I watched. I peeked in on the Auburn game. Peeked in on Georgia.
Is Bo Nix still playing like they say that he's playing, or
He's doing okay, I guess.
yeah.
He's doing all right. I don't know what he's going to do next week in Iron Bowl, but
Right, that's the big question.
yeah. I was definitely glad that Oregon took a L. I didn't think they were all that good.
See, my thing is with Oregon is that I kind of wanted a Pac-12 team to be in the college football playoff. It was going to be a long shot.
Why did you want that?
Because I don't want to see two SEC teams. I guess if anything, I would rather see two Big Ten teams.
It's possible,
But I definitely don't want to see two.
They're not gonna
SEC
put a
teams.
two-loss Minnesota in there,
Right.
And they may put a two-loss Ohio State in there.
A two-loss Ohio State in there.
Well, I'm thinking about the Big Ten championship game since that one's pretty much already set.
But you think we're gonna lose?
I'm going either way. I'm saying if it's a two-loss Minnesota team, then there's no two Big Ten teams.
Oh, for sure.
There may be two Big Ten teams if Minnesota beats Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. Maybe.
I got you.
They would also have to beat Wisconsin next week, so that's coming up. Hey, before we get too deep into that, go ahead and bring us in.
So just in case y'all haven't noticed, there is only two of us talking. Our brother in arms, Alex, has decided to leave the podcast, which is perfectly fine. I'm sure he is somewhere right now doing something great. We wish him all well with everything that he has going on, and figure we give a little moment of silence before we start the podcast.
He didn't die. It don't got to be that long.
I mean, damn, bruh. R.I.P. to the homie, bruh.
Yeah.
In terms of podcasting,
Again, just to clear up our language on this, he did not pass away. He's not
in terms
dead.
of the podcast, bruh,
Okay, sure.
we gotta hang his jersey from the rafters, bruh.
Cool.
Anyway, so now that that's done, it's recess. Back of the bus, boys, still at it. Main topics, what we got?
We're starting out with them debate.
All right, let's talk about these debates.
Mm-hmm. This one was a dud to me.
I agree.
It was a bit of a dud.
I agree.
Couldn't really stay engaged all that much. I felt like they were like a couple things stood out. So I did feel like they were trying to get away from the Medicare for All talk. I think they spent a lot of time on that in the previous 4 or 5 debates. So it looked like a concerted effort not to go back to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was necessarily the right strategy, but whatever. Still icing out the usual candidates. Yang doesn't get a lot of talking time.
Not
Sanders doesn't get a lot of talking time.
Klobuchar strangely gets
all
a good
the
amount
talking time. I'm like, why they keep trying to force Amy Klobuchar in my face?
She
I don't know why.
She had that little $17K from ex-boyfriend's line, which was really weird to me.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even get it, but
Like,
everybody
what a
thought it was
strange-
hilarious.
What a strange line! Like, you raised $17,000.
I set a record for getting money from ex-boyfriends.
Did you see SNL at all?
I don't really watch Saturday Night Live.
Okay, so they did
an Amy
a
Klobuchar?
parody of it, and they were
Jesus.
like, "I gained 17,000 from ex-boyfriends, mostly because I threatened to come back into their life." So I thought that was really funny. But yeah, man, nothing super special. Cory Booker talking about going to the black church and some other things that I just thought were weird. That when he says something about like the black people, black people, it's just weird coming from him. And I think it's weirder coming from him than it is like Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders. It just comes off.
First
stranger.
of all, it's nuts that you feel that way. But the reason why you feel that way is because we keep talking about this. Him and Kamala didn't secure home before they went out here on the national stage, and that's just facts.
That's facts.
They expected black people to follow them in droves because they were a popular establishment candidate with a black face. And so they just expected people to hop on. I think this election cycle is a hard lesson for a lot of candidates, that you're just not about to throw the Obama playbook in there and think that's about to ride for you now.
For sure.
It doesn't work that way anymore.
Kamala went after Tulsi pretty viciously.
Yeah, it was a pretty dud.
You think
to
so?
me, it was pretty much a dud. That whole back and forth was nonsensical. Why if you're MSNBC, and I know why you're doing it, but let me tell you why I don't want to see it as a viewer. Like, I don't really care why the two people polling at less than 4% have a personal beef with each other. I just don't give a fuck.
Right.
If I wanted reality TV, I'd turn on VH1.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like that little shit between them two didn't mean anything. Kamala said something about Tulsi being on Fox News all through Obama's presidency, criticizing the president, telling him to call out Islamic terrorism by name and all this other shit. Tulsi, Kamala continues to peddle in lies and da. Like, I didn't care about any of it. I really didn't.
That's right.
Didn't give up. Neither one of you are going to win the presidency.
Correct.
I don't even know if either one of you are going to end up being vice, because Tulsi Gabbard continues to burn bridge after bridge after bridge, doing that kind of stuff, hopping on, Fox News, decrying the impeachment inquiry or just Democrats in general. And then Kamala Harris, I'm of the thinking that she would only be a potential vice president candidate to someone like Joe Biden or Pete Buttigieg, which I don't really see either one of them winning either. Biden could win.
I would hate to see a Mayor Pete Kamala card.
Oh, ugh.
That just sounds awful.
Cringeworthy. It just makes you feel gross.
Speaking of Mayor Pete, he said a couple things that I thought was weird. The right experience to take on Donald Trump. Like, what experience do you have?
Yeah, I mean, he's in a weird spot, because the only type of like governorship he's at is being mayor of South Bend, Indiana. Right. I think the most votes he's ever received in like in an election is 11,000. Yeah. Like, so he's even in South Bend, Indiana, you can only get 11,000 people to vote for you.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Like, he's in a weird spot because he doesn't really have the resume, so he can only lean on what he has done. But most of the scandal around him comes from what he's done with the, getting the black police chief in South Bend fired and the racist cop tapes and stuff like that. So, like, all of his stink is covered in the only work experience that he has, which kind of puts him in a weird spot to say shit like that. Like, oh, I may not have a bunch of experience, but I've got the right experience.
It's just kind of weird, I guess. But since we're on Mayor Pete, the two other things. One, he bragged about being the least wealthy on the stage, I guess, according to Forbes, I want to say. They listed him as the least wealthy, which kind of just seemed like a pander to those who aren't making as much. But come on, dude, you're still, at the end of the day, a mayor of South Bend.
Well, it's a shot to the central message of campaigns like Sanders or Warren that are anti like wealth conglomerization. You know what I mean? Just hoarding mass amounts of wealth in the country, right? So I think his angle at it was, well, a lot of our a lot of these progressive candidates attack wealth, and yet I am the least wealthy of them. It's a lot of platitudes, a lot of straw man arguments, a lot of like simple-minded arguments, lazy arguments to make. Obviously, everybody sitting on that stage has a level of wealth. You may be the least wealthy, but by what margin? Are you not still in a completely different tax bracket than any normal American? Are you going to sit up here and look at me and tell me that you don't drive some $70,000 foreign car or whatever the case may be?
You're wealthier than
you're wealthier than the average Joe.
You're still kind of out of touch in that area.
You know what I'm saying? Don't try to tell me you getting a Walmart manager salary. Like, come on now, you're the mayor of a city, so you're doing okay.
Yeah. So the other thing is, while I was watching the debates, I was on the Back of the Bus Twitter, big promo on that.
Okay.
And I happened to come across Hassan D. Piker from TYT. He posted something on Twitter as well. I think it was a TikTok actually. But
quick jump. Do not use TikTok. It is Chinese owned. It's another one of those fucking. I'm serious, man.
I think I was going to say that at one
It's like
point.
the face thing that the Russians put out.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. It's just Chinese. Stop
Yikes.
using all these foreign ass social apps. Go ahead.
But anyway, so it just the TikTok raised some interesting points about Mayor Pete, mainly 0% black support, which is less black support than Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Faked black activist support for his Douglas plan, which we discussed, I think, last time we were here.
No, we talked about that, I think, off mic.
Yeah.
So just to give a little bit of background on that, Mayor Pete's social justice or criminal justice reform, whatever you call it, plan, the Douglas plan, had I won't call it a big media rollout, but a rollout in the past week or so. And in the endorsement of the plan were a supposed list of prominent black activists and just leaders in the community that had their names attached to this plan. A little investigation done by Ryan Grimm at The Intercept. He came to find out that 3 out of the 4 people of the prominent black leaders named in that plan did not support it, did not give Buttigieg the permission to put their name along with the plan. The 4th person endorsed the plan, but didn't endorse Mayor Pete because he was a campaign co-chair for Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm. So,
I think the messaging from Pete's campaign was that they sent an email out, and that if the people did not want to be associated with the plan, they had to opt out. You had to opt out of support for his plan,
which is crazy.
What else? Oh, when you read the plan, like if you went to his website or whatever, and no free promo, but if you went to his site and you read the plan. The mission statement for the plan,
mm-hmm.
it says that it had like 400 black individuals that supported the plan. But if you actually go in and look at the list of supporters and names on there, 300 of them are white.
Yikes.
So he's lying about the support. He's forcing people to support his plan.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine if any other candidate were to like fake black support for their stuff?
That would be huge.
For their legislation, for their their reform plans or anything like that.
That'd be really negative for somebody like Biden, Sanders, Warren.
I don't know how negative it would be for Biden. I think he has the same type of media coverage.
I can see that.
Kind of media support to protect him. But definitely Sanders, Warren still can't get out of the Pocahontas shit. And that shit happened like 2 years ago.
Right.
So
that'd be a huge blow to Warren.
I'm just saying.
It also just mentioned that he fired the black police chief, went to Afghanistan for the resume, which...
I mean, that's a low... You don't know. Yeah.
Right. He did say all lives matter about a couple years ago, I think. And it
looks like an all lives matter guy.
I think he said it.
Especially the blue ones.
I can't remember. I looked it up, but I just can't remember what it specifically said. And then, gentrified South Bend, evicted poor people, which, that was probably under his service as mayor. It was just a whole bunch of things that just came up, and I'm just like, damn, I didn't realize there was so much against Mayor Pete.
Yeah, he's a particularly problematic candidate I think in a general. For some reason in this primary, he hasn't really been touched.
Yeah.
Even I feel like MSNBC tried to serve him up on a Klobuchar platter, and she just completely sidestepped it.
Mm-hmm.
She does it a lot, actually. She'll say things about Warren or Sanders or Buttigieg or whoever in like press gaggles or events and stuff like that, and then she's called out about it on the stage, and she just sidesteps the shit on up out of there. You know what I mean? She out there juking like Barry Sanders.
Right.
Um,
The only other thing I gotta say is I'm glad Tom Steyer got rid of that haircut from the last debate.
yeah,
That debate was big trash.
goddamn Steyer.
That's
You
all
know
I have
what?
to say about him.
I don't mind hearing Steyer speak about certain things. I usually am on the thinking that, you know, leave the rich white guys who want to buy the election out of it, because that's kind of the entire point of where we're at this point.
For sure.
Tom Steyer at least can speak coherently about populist issues like climate change and wealth inequality and education, and he doesn't feel like he's so detached from the issue that you can't listen to him. And I'm not saying I'm gonna vote for him for president, but it's at least a viewpoint that I can sit there and have an intelligent conversation about.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not nonsense.
I can see that.
Mm.
Anything else from the debates for you?
Kamala's done. Done. Like, she's super done. Like, been done.
Think so?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's fucking over.
Yeah.
It's done. Like,
She did get off the Trump got punked soundbite. And I was like, oh, okay. And then just nothing else like materialized from her like at all.
she's done, dog. She's done.
Yeah. Which I'm not, sad to see her go.
You're sad to see her go?
I'm
Oh, you're
not
not sad to see her go. Okay. Yeah, I mean, she came out of the gates hot, and she was a top 4 candidate, and then she had that great moment against Joe Biden, and then I feel like everything about her campaign became trying to recreate that moment, at least from like the public speaking and debates part of it. It became trying to have that viral moment again.
For sure.
And it never hit. It missed every time.
Funny you say that, because SNL kind of mentioned that as well. But
yeah, they're right, because that's what it felt like. It felt like she was trying to have that girl in the school bus moment, which I thought was corny when she said it.
It was corny.
But everybody got excited about it. So she's like, oh, well, call me corny. Give me a Husker hat.
Ugh.
I'm all in.
I'm definitely going to be okay to see her go.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
Anything else?
I'm cool, bro.
All right. So Chixtape 5 dropped last Friday.
Yeah.
Not this past Friday, but the Friday before.
Yep,
and
we've been down for a minute, people. Give us a break.
Yeah. So I think Tory Lanez dropped another decent project.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a dud to me. I liked. It was hit or miss for me. I liked the Dream remix. She's like, that nigga. I like that. That's a bop. The T-Pain joint was okay.
Yeah.
The Ludacris verse I could have done without. I think he could have done a lot better than that.
He did kind of phone it in, but it was still okay to me.
The Usher joint was dope. Oh wait, not Usher. Damn. Trey Songz.
Yeah.
Trey Songz joint was good.
When I was listening to it, I know Ashanti was on the cover, and like the whole time I'm like, damn, it would have been good. Like I was like halfway through it, I was like, you know what, Foolish would be a good song for him to do. And then like a couple songs later, that song came out.
That's what it was.
And I was like, you know what, that wasn't bad. That was a pretty good one. I really liked the Let's Get Blown flip that he did.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard that song in a while. And you know what? I found myself listening to a lot of these songs and being like, damn, I want to listen to the original.
Yeah, the original again. Right.
Which is kind of a problem, but he did a really good job of flipping some of these songs to where it's not like I only want to listen to the original. I can still go back and listen to this at any point.
Yeah, no, all in all, it was a decent project. I can't take nothing away from it.
For sure.
Some of the, I get sticking to a theme of the album. I can appreciate that because it shows that you had some thought into it. You just didn't throw this shit together. I thought just some of the features fell a little flat for me.
I could agree with that. But yeah, I just thought that he's really good at remixing and covering songs. So,
for sure.
It's kind of his forte.
So this one or last album? Love Me Now.
Love Me Now. That's what it was.
Love Me Now.
I would have to go Love Me Now, but only because first of all, I haven't sat with this album for long enough to really make that distinction. But I think even still, once I do go back and listen to it a little bit more, I think I'm still gonna want to go with Let Me Know
for sure.
But you know what? Tory Lanez isn't the king of R&B.
Oh Jesus! Golly,
I had to transition it that way. So Jacquees released the king of R&B, which I don't think either one of us listened to.
I have not. So
we don't have a real opinion on it. Tory Lanez actually, I think, was a feature on that one too.
Yeah, he talked. He did obviously he did a press run for the drop of the album. He was on Breakfast Club talking about all of the all the R&B cats that he's supposedly cool with, that he had beef with before. Tory Lanez being one of those people. I think he mentioned Chris Brown. Yeah, so here's my thing with the whole king of R&B shit, right? So talk your shit, have your confidence. I get it, but dog, if you all these other niggas, if you Trey Songz, if you even Tory Lanez, The Weeknd, Party, Miguel, this nigga has one single that hit, and then he has a remix of somebody else's shit that actually put him on.
Yeah.
And so I again, R&B niggas are not rappers, and I'm never for the beef and just for show shit anyways. But at the same time, like it don't tug on y'all cords a little bit. Like this nigga got hype off of somebody else's music, and now he's calling himself the king of R&B. Yeah,
that would ruffle my feathers a little bit. Like he's not even better than like names you don't hear very often, like Jeremiah. Bryson.
Right.
Like there's so many other names that I can think of before him. Or like I know he's more pop, but The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Like there's so many more people that I can think
of. He just overlooked. I don't. So even if you boil it down to his generation, right? First of all, you out here arguing with YT Osiris about which one of y'all are better. So that kind of disqualifies you as a.
Didn't something just happen to YK Osiris?
I think was he locked up or something?
Yeah, something happened.
Something like that. He was just in jail or something. I don't keep up.
It was one of them things where I just didn't care to look into it exactly like that. But anyway,
I can't keep up.
Yeah, even the people in his generation.
Still, it seems like a bit of a reach.
Yeah.
I think what it is for me is that he's not as vocally talented as some of the guys he's saying he's better than.
Yeah.
I don't think he's as vocally talented as Bryson Tiller is. I don't even think it's close. I don't think he's as vocally talented, obviously, as a Miguel, Chris Brown, Trey Songz. I don't think he's in that class vocally.
He doesn't make better music than Anderson .Paak, Ty Dolla $ign.
There you go.
There's just so many names to name that comes to my mind quicker than
like I like Jacquees. The confidence, but like, can you build a resume before you just come out here and be like, this is album number 2?
Right.
You said that shit before album number 1 dropped.
Yeah. I don't know about that. And I didn't even mention The Dream.
The Dream, yeah.
We said Frank Ocean. Yeah, there's just too many different names.
New niggas like St. John. I think St. John is better vocally than Jacquees.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Oof. Anyway.
Get your weight up, son.
But you listened to half of 24 Hours?
I did listen to half of 24 Hours.
I didn't even know 24 Hours was still a thing.
It is. Is what it sounded like.
I'm not surprised, I guess. I mean, after the one song he had with Wiz and was it Ty?
I won't mind if you stay tonight.
Yeah. That song was hard. That song was hard.
He had a couple songs on there where you see that he was trying to get them back. Like I feel like everybody acting like Post Malone now. Post Malone made Rockstar, and then his next 10 songs that came out sound like Rockstar, and like everybody else is following that game plan. I'm gonna make this song if it hit. I'm gonna make my next 20 songs try to sound like it.
Wow didn't sound like Rockstar.
Wow did, but to be fair, I didn't even know Wow was Post Malone for like 4 months.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm in.
When I first heard it, I was like, I didn't know that was him. That song hard.
I do not like Post Malone, but that's
well, neither do you like 24 Hours either.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went into it with an open mind. I was like, I didn't know you were still rapping. I clicked on it and it just didn't do nothing for me.
Ew.
Yeah. I probably won't even be listening to the second half of that joint.
Oh, for sure. Surprised you listened to the first half.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have some things you want to say about the news with Rudolph and Myles Garrett?
Yeah, so the NFL officially declined Myles Garrett's appeal to have his suspension reduced. And then in the same breath, leaked the fact that he told them Mason Rudolph called him a racial slur.
So I assumed just from the nature of everything that happened that he probably did say something. Just by looking at how everything was positioned, I could see him saying something. And I said that when
Mason
we originally, yeah. And I said that when we originally, talked about the story. Well, me, you, and Alex talked about it. So I'm not surprised by that at all. But
all of this shit is a fraud. It's a fraud because the way how do you prove that? Like how do you say there's no evidence found that Mason Rudolph uttered a racial slur? Were they wearing microphones? Like how were you supposed to prove that?
Somewhere I think I heard that they were, but they weren't recording or something like that. I don't know where I heard that from, but I want to say I heard that from somewhere.
It's just the premise that like you're going to uphold his suspension for like you're basically putting the burden of proof on him, I guess.
Yeah.
Like you're just not giving him the benefit of the doubt.
For sure.
And it just I don't know, man. Even to leak the fact, because obviously he didn't want it to be a public thing, because he would have said it that night after the game.
Right.
He just said he called me the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
why
I just think that if he did it in a public way, they wouldn't have believed him anyway. Nobody would have believed him anyway.
I feel like he went in there and tried to tell them what happened, and they brushed it off, and they handed him his suspension.
For sure.
And Mason Rudolph gets to play football today.
I think he got a $50,000 fine.
I don't give a fuck.
Which is nothing.
Yeah, I don't care.
But
I don't care. They tried to put that out on the ticker. Oh well, Mason Ramsey, Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, don't confuse Mason Ramsey with
Mason Rudolph. Got the highest fine out of any of the players. I'm like, so you're going to admit to me that he had the most to do with escalating this issue by giving him the highest fine, but not suspend him for any games. How socially tone deaf the NFL has to be to do some of the stuff that they do, to move the way that they do. It's just so socially tone deaf.
Mm-hmm.
And it's either that or they just don't care about how they come off.
I don't think they care.
It looks fucking awful.
When you do it this many times with different issues, I don't think you care at some point.
Let me give you an example. If an employee were to come to you, any NFL employee, a trainer, a water boy, an NFL coach, a player, if any of them are coming to you before an incident ever happened and told you that someone on their team or an opposing player called them a racial slur, would you then tell them to come back when they have proof? Would you send them away and be like, well, prove it? Prove it. No? So then you would just take it on faith and you would reprimand that player. Or you would assume
it's not the player's job to have to prove it. I would think the NFL would have to do an investigation on something like that.
Yeah, man. That's my thing. It's like we hate blaming victims when it's about stuff that's convenient to whatever argument we're making, when it's about sexual assault or domestic violence or anything like that. But then Myles Garrett is telling you that he was provoked in the nastiest way possible, and you just we don't believe you. So,
like I said before, Richie Incognito calls a player the N-word multiple times. Threatens to kill.
Now, to be fair, there was proof of that because there was the voicemails that he left.
Right.
So there was proof of that.
But he's still in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's still a player.
Still playing. Albert Hainsworth stepped on a man, and Ndamukong Suh stepped on a man, and these were all intentional things that were unprovoked.
So,
Now, it is worth mentioning that, you know, I guess there's a possibility that Myles Garrett could be lying about it,
Sure.
just for cover. But if you're Myles Garrett, and again, obviously, he didn't want the fact that Mason. Why do I keep saying Mason? Mason Rudolph called him a racial slur. The reason why he didn't say it that night after the incident is obviously he was keeping it close to his vest. So he has no vested interest into leaking this to Josina Anderson or Adam Schefter, which neither one of them were present in the NFL's meeting with Myles Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what do you stand to gain as the NFL by putting that out there? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, if he didn't want it to be public, he's just trying to tell you, like, hey, I'm not trying to start no shit, but he called me a nigger.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention he got up and he ran at me, so he got what he was looking for.
For sure. Not to mention he initiated the entire thing.
The entire thing. Yeah, man. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I just thought that was pretty trash, for sure.
Stephen A. Smith has been going on a huge tirade this week.
Yo,
just
guys,
trying
look,
to prove himself.
You're not listening to me. Everybody's missing the point. He did that interview with Terrell Owens, and T.O. was like, oh, so everybody else that's mad at you is wrong. Everybody else wrong, not you.
I'm a black man, you idiots.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, you saying that makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
It makes it so much worse. Because you feel as though since you're black, you have enough political cover for you to go out here and throw another black man under the bus. That's just not going to fly.
Not at all.
You're telling this man, Kaepernick, to basically get on his knees and ask for the NFL's forgiveness and just play good, play mammy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, nah, bro. That's not how we rolling in 2019.
Absolutely. Do you feel any way about T.O. saying that Max might be blacker than Stephen A.?
You know what? I feel like, number one, T.O.'s T.O. He gonna say whatever the fuck you want.
Oh, for sure.
I feel like you open yourself up for that. And if you're Stephen A., I know you're making a lot of money, but if you allow the NFL to kind of set up the commentary the way that they are, having Max Kellerman being the voice or the protector of Kaepernick and Myles Garrett in these issues, and you having to play the other side to try to give the idea, or at least the facade of racial ambiguity on these issues, right? Oh, it's not a racial thing. We're totally unbiased in this. That's why we have the black guy arguing against the other black guy. If you're gonna sign up for that, then you kind of gotta take the attacks. You got to. I mean, I don't know if that's how you want to play this game. And if you're not doing that, and then you honestly feel that way, and that's just your honest opinion, still, you have the right to your opinion. You also have the right for people to tell you that your opinion's fucked up and that they don't agree with you.
Yeah.
If Max Kellerman is the only guy giving a voice to reason or offering up a viewpoint that is not commonly seen on mainstream media, that's not understood or even discussed or even put out there as a general line of thought in the mainstream media, then if you're not going to take it up, if Max Kellerman does, then we'll give Max Kellerman the credit. Kind of is what it is.
For sure. Get into your W's and L's.
Okay. Cool. Let's start with Dubs, because I only got a few. So did you see Netflix's big counterpunch to Disney Plus?
No.
Netflix is reportedly they have struck a deal with Nickelodeon.
I did see that.
Yeah, to get all those old titles. So, Kenan and Kel. All that.
Rugrats.
Rocko's Modern Life.
We're going to see another Rocco?
Rocket Power.
Rocco movie?
We can hold off on the Rocco movie.
Another Rocco
I watched
movie?
the show.
They're going to make a new... Well, I don't know what the terms
these are just all titles under Nickelodeon that you would be able to stream. So they're just going
to put the shows on Netflix. I'm
sure it's along the same lines of what the deal that they had with Disney, right? We'll put a lot of your old content on here, and then new stuff like the Defender show or Jessica Jones or Luke Cage and all the other stuff. We'll have new stuff going on too.
It's a good move. Solid move.
It's a strong move, very strong move, considering that Nickelodeon doesn't have their own streaming service to get these old popular properties. Say that 5 times fast.
Popular properties.
These old popular properties that aren't really streaming anywhere else other than pirating sites that you could be monetizing right now. And Netflix has a need because they're falling behind, obviously, with the huge slate that Marvel is going to be laying out on Disney Plus. So this is a power balance, I think, a little bit, which was kind of needed because, and I don't know if y'all paying attention, but Disney is going to own the world pretty soon.
Let's hope not.
So yeah, that's kind of cool.
I think, with the same thing that happened with Disney, I think people are going to rush to, because kids that were watching that kind of stuff are reaching that age where they're now having kids, and they're going to want to kind of show their kids, like, this is what I was into when I was younger. So you kind of tap into that, and I think that's awesome.
If they're not just watching it for themselves, like I think there's a niche market out there for people who long for like 90s TV. Like everything 90s TV, cartoons, television shows, sitcoms, doesn't matter.
And Nick has tried doing different things to capitalize on all the old 90s stuff. Like they had channels dedicated to doing that. And it's just it's so like hard to reach those things. Whereas if I can just turn on Netflix and get right
and
to it.
Push right up.
I'm about to watch Kenan and Kel, all that, Rugrats, Rocket Power, all that.
Zoe 101.
No.
Ooh, ooh.
Oh my gosh, you know the theme song.
Kind of girl.
Drake and Josh.
Drake and Josh was on there. Amanda Show.
Damn, I ain't thought about the Amanda Show in a while.
In a minute. Amanda
Show. You know all the theme songs. No promo.
Nick Gas.
Temple.
Is it Temple Run or? It's
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Double Dare. There's about to be a lot of stuff.
Be a lot of shit, bro. So that's something to directly compete with Disney. So big ups to Netflix on that. So we already talked about that. Let's get into these L's a little bit.
Okay.
So first up on the list, I got Amanda Seales. We haven't really talked about her a lot. And for decent reason, I feel like I haven't really known too much about her.
Same here.
The more I hear about her, though, the less I like her. So when I first started hearing about Amanda Seales, it was just through her IG videos, right? I'll see clips of her stand up, and she's kind of one of those tell you how you live your life people on IG, right? Like, oh, don't you be doing that to your kids, or don't show your kids that example when she ain't got no damn kids. Like one of those people, one of those preachy people that you may halfway listen to every now and again when they saying something relevant, and then half the time you scrolling past them.
Right.
So I didn't pay her too much attention. She has been denied entry to to the Black Grammy Party twice now, 2 years in a row. Once trying to be Jill Scott's +1, another one trying to be Jesse Williams +1. She got kicked out of the show Insecure with Issa Rae.
She got kicked off?
Yeah, she's no longer on the show.
Yikes.
There was a lot of beef with her and the people that she worked with on Insecure. Now she got beef with Sean King.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Sean King, if you follow him on any social media or anything like that,
is he still going through that spat with D-Ray right now?
I don't know what spat with D-Ray. D-Ray Davis?
No, D-Ray the activist.
Oh. You know what? I feel like the last thing that I seen about that is somebody showed up to do one of his speaking engagements or something like that and called him a fraud.
I think
or something like that. And then Sean King had posted it. I hadn't really heard too much out of that. I'm definitely not about to pay attention to no activist beefing. Definitely not. That honestly, I felt like that was a little bit a bad promo on both of their sides.
Oh, for sure. You're getting away from any kind of causes.
Kind of real action to bicker. You know what I mean? But no, this whole thing with Amanda Seales. So if you've been paying attention to Sean King's feed, here recently over the last 2 months or so. He has been one of the main proponents to that helped free Rodney Reed in Texas. He had the petition out where he got over 2 million signatures. He's been leading he was leading a call brigade to the governor's mansion down there. They held a protest outside of the governor's mansion. He's been doing a lot. And so apparently one of the people that Sean reached with his outreach was Amanda Seales, right? Because she was also a strong proponent of freeing Rodney Reed. She came out a little over a week ago and made an Instagram video about it, basically saying that she had been misled, or at very least, she had not gotten all the information that she felt like she needed on the Rodney Reed case. Now, the thing that Rodney was in jail for was the rape and murder of Stacey Skiles, I think her name was. Back in 1996.
Sounds about right.
Since he's been locked up for those crimes, there has been new witness testimony. There's been new DNA evidence that wasn't available back then during the trial. There's been a person who's actually admitted to doing the crime, right? And still this man was on death row up until maybe about 5 days before he was supposed to be executed. Now, the prosecution, to try and defend his conviction during the case, originally brought up all these other allegations that Rodney Reed had and, brought them to light during the court. Apparently, he had a running into with a high school girl where she had been raped. There was another case where a chick had been murdered that he was messing with, and they found his semen inside of her and all this other stuff. And this is all the stuff that Amanda Seales is talking about on her feed. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much of here's just the facts. I'm not saying that he's guilty, but you all should have it. That's not what this was. This was I was lied to, and ain't nobody tell me this about Rodney Reed. She didn't really talk like that, but that's just kind of how I felt like it was coming off, right? Because through all of that information that she's given about the other rape allegations, the other murder case that he got off of and everything like that, she's leaving out. She's doing the very thing that she's criticizing people like Sean King for. Mm-hmm. She's leaving out key information. So in the case of the high school girl, she didn't mention that Rodney Reed was 17 at the time. And not only did the girl in question, the victim, identify someone else for her crime, there was a third witness to the case that identified someone else as well.
Yikes.
Right? But she never mentions that. Mm-hmm. In the case of the other white lady that ended up getting murdered, the lead prosecutor in that case ended up getting fired from the force for corruption. Now, Rodney Reed, that wasn't even something that he should have to argue against, honestly, because those charges were dropped because they found that it was just a consensual relationship. They believed what he said. Mm-hmm. And she even says that in her little rant on her IG Live. But the way she says it is like, well, he beat those charges because they believed him because he said that he was having sex with the woman and he kept it secret because he was a black man and she was a white woman, which, number one, is completely plausible even in 2019.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right? Today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But she says it with this nonchalant attitude.
Plus, where is he from?
Texas.
The South. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Not to mention that woman's husband was a cop.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's completely plausible.
Right.
But then she follows it up with saying, I don't know how your guys' brains work, but this nigga love white women so much that he'll continue to put his life in danger.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God. Here she go. I'm like, no, you didn't. So not only are you emitting information, you're trying to skew the perception of the case. Mm-hmm. Like, that's your feeling.
And skew his character.
Yeah, that's trying to trample on his character. That's your opinion. That is your thought on a situation. It has no bearing on any legal fact or any right that he has to sleep with whoever the fuck he wants to. Mm-hmm. At all. What is your point of even saying that? And I'm sorry, I didn't know getting ass was a life and death situation. Like, that's shit, crazy. Man.
No, she definitely deserves the L for that one.
So Amanda Seales and Sean King get into a back and forth over social media. Sean King fires back and goes through basically everything I just went through. All of the last lady that I just told you about. Mm-hmm. I don't want to keep going back into the minutiae of the case, but whatever. She Amanda Seales said on her feed that she had been raped and murdered. I just said it too, so I'm about to clear it up. That lady is alive and well. Murder was never in the case. Mm-hmm. You omitting facts, you're skewing perception, you're dragging someone's character, and you're also putting charges on them that they never had.
Wrongfully accusing
him of murder. He didn't get accused of murder. This lady is living. So she has the unmitigated gall, the audacity to fire back and say, I really think it's funny that no one heard me say I haven't done all my research on the case.
Oh, man.
Chick, is you serious? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why are you even speaking on it? Why are you even talking about it?
That is nuts.
Why are you speaking on it at all? Mm-hmm. Wasn't that whole point of that video to say that people should be well informed on the issues and you out here misinforming people?
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely an L to Amanda Seales.
Wait, so then where does Sean King come in?
So he basically corrected her on all of the things that she said on the initial video.
Okay.
Right. The fact that woman wasn't murdered. The fact that the prosecution in that case for the younger girl was found to be guilty of corruption, and he was later fired after he got those charges dropped. And then the witness statements as well. So basically,
he just came in with facts.
Inaccuracies. All the inaccuracies. Not to mention that the I can't think of the organization right now, but they plead the cases for wrongly convicted felons on death row. Mm-hmm. And they had been working on this case for 18 years. And so they were well aware of all the other accusations. They were well aware of all the other cases that he had been involved with. And they still chose to pursue an exoneration for Rodney Reed. So it wasn't just Sean King starting a petition. It wasn't just celebrities saying something about it. It wasn't just Kim Kardashian. There was legal basis to get this man out of jail. And even if everything you said about those other women were true, which a lot of it wasn't, it still wouldn't take away the fact that he was going to be executed for a crime he didn't commit, clearly. And so for you to come out here blindly, half-cocked, and not with the lack of information that you are currently critiquing, like,
oh my gosh,
he's still innocent.
It's just bad for people who have any sort of platform. In her case, she has a decent-sized platform to just be out here telling blatant lies. Or just doing
just spreading
no
misinformation.
Research.
Yeah. It's so ironic that she started that whole thing talking about not having all the facts and listening to people who are. And I felt like she was trying to get to the point where she was saying they were being nefarious with it, like they were trying not to give you all the facts to get this man out of jail. Mm-hmm. And here you come, half cocked with no information, spewing bullshit.
Yeah,
I just thought that was really funny, and so. She has a certain circle of friends. Obviously, I just told you she was at the Black Grammy party with Jesse Williams, and then the year before that with Jill Scott. Mm-hmm. But she also had a little political backup from her homeboy, Charlamagne. And he was trying to kick for her on the Breakfast Club last week. I just like, I don't know, man.
Some things you can't.
Hold your tongue.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Shit.
Yeah.
The more that I hear her, the more that I see her interact, that whole thing with the Black Grammy party where she got kicked out and then tried to blame it on the white woman and make it a whole racial thing. And turns out the lady that she was talking about was literally like a bouncer or a bartender or some employee of the club who had who could make no decision-making power at all. Like, it's just, I don't like the way she moves at all.
People who crave attention like that desperately take away from some of the things that we're trying to get done.
And if you listen to her, she has like a lot of like narcissistic tendencies. The way she speaks about herself, like, you know what? I feel like my greatest flaw is that I just work too hard. I hate people like that. Or like, you know why people don't like me? It's because I'm really smart and I don't hold back my opinion.
And I
like,
keep it real.
I keep it real. I hate those people. Like, the reason why people don't fuck with you is that everybody else is fucked up. Right? Those type of people. I don't like that shit. Mm-hmm. I cannot stand it.
I hear that.
The reason why you're angry with me is because there's something wrong with you.
Those people are
just
worse.
To be honest. So yeah, that was my whole spiel on Man to Seals. Chick-fil-A is getting a L. I was about to say dub. I don't know why I was about to say what? Huh? What? L. Getting the L. So tell me some things that you know to be true about Chick-fil-A.
Sure.
Just on a PR perspective. If you were going to give me an Oppo research folder on Chick-fil-A, what would be in it?
They're closed on Sundays.
Why are they closed on Sundays?
Because they're owned by pretty religious people.
Pretty religious people, huh? Mm-hmm. They're ball and chain to their values.
Oh, for sure.
Bible is law, right?
Which is why they don't support gay marriage.
Right. A lot of that shit, right? They support a lot of anti-gay organizations and programs and things of that nature, right?
They hold pretty conservative views.
So why earlier this week did Chick-fil-A announce that they are no longer going to be giving aid or donations to anti-LGBT communities or groups or foundations?
I would assume because that's probably bad PR. It just doesn't.
They haven't cared about the PR. They've been that way since they opened. Is there anything else that might have been happening over the last 2-3 months, maybe from a competitor, that would make them want to be a little bit more palatable to LGBT communities or people in general?
The fact that Popeyes has a chicken sandwich that has people still like. I just drove by the Popeyes on 161.
Boom.
Maybe 3 Saturdays ago when the chicken sandwich first came back.
Jumping.
And the line was not out to 161, but there's like a little street there.
That little service road.
It was out to that service road. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. The chicken sandwich is back.
Jumping.
Drove by that same Popeyes yesterday, and it was still pretty close to that.
Damn.
Parking lot packed.
That gotta have Chick-fil-A hot.
Yeah,
gotta be
probably.
mad. We the only chicken spot got long lines.
And there's no Chick-fil-A. Like, I can think of 3 Popeyes near us. The closest Chick-fil-A's I can think of, Easton Campus.
So let me get this straight, Chick-fil-A, because I want to understand you. I don't want to misrepresent you. You're closed on Sundays because of your Christian values. You give money to anti-gay organizations because of your Christian values, and you stand by them under all of the scrutiny and heat that Chick-fil-A has gotten over the years and years and years of supporting these anti-gay groups. They've steadfast because of their principles. That we believe this. We are a company. We will serve anyone, but we will put our money where we have our religious faith. You may not agree with it, but you at least have to respect it, right? But all of a sudden, that almighty dollar comes calling, and Popeyes starts to threaten your bottom line. And that's all it takes for those so powerful Christian values that you were beholden to that made you be closed on Sunday and give to anti-LGBT community groups just goes out the fucking window. What values, B?
So then I'd be remiss to not ask, do you think that they're going to start being open on Sundays?
Abso-fucking-lutely. That shit don't matter. It never mattered. It was never about their Christian values. It was never about God or any of that other shit. They were placating to a crowd, and that shit is no longer profitable. And so now it's time to adjust. It's time to adapt. Now we about to shook and jive with the sinners. I wouldn't be surprised if you seen Chick-fil-A in a pride parade next year.
Really?
I would not be surprised if you seen Chick-fil-A stands at a pride parade somewhere in the United States next year.
A couple cows on a float with the eat more chicken signs?
Swear to God. Swear to God. Like,
wow.
When you hear these religious conservatives and they talk about their values and the reasons why they think they have the right to tell a woman what to do with her body, or you know, keep people from getting married or whatever, or tell you how to have sex, whatever. They always lean back on these values and the idea that the Bible is law and that God tells us how we're supposed to live and we're supposed to live that way. Well, what would God think about you turning your back on your Christian values for $1? Chick-fil-A? What do you think he would think about that?
You would probably go to hell for that.
Spineless. Absolutely spineless by Chick-fil-A. Big L. Big L.
Super L.
So we were talking about how Buttigieg was kind of stealing some of that white liberal vote away from Warren, and that's kind of led to her fall a little bit. I think that is going to be more to come for Warren in the next couple of months of the campaign, and the reason being is they've added 2 new candidates.
Tom Steyer?
No, Tom Steyer was already there.
Oh, they're adding 2 new
candidates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Deval Patrick has announced that he's going to be running. Deval Patrick is a Washington insider. He was part of the Obama administration. He's a Washington mainstay. So just another establishment center-leaning politician.
Why are we adding more?
Because the people who are mainstays in the Democratic Party are afraid that the nomination is going to go to a progressive. That is the only idea that I can have. That and the fact that they are definitely afraid of Medicare for all. They are definitely afraid of it because a lot of their donors don't want it. And it's not just the insurance companies, it's not just the medical industry, but it's also the people who stand to lose money paying the Medicare head tax, right? If you can't skimp for cash paying Aetna or Anthem or any of these other insurance companies the bare minimum for your employees' healthcare coverage, and you actually have to pay a fair amount to give everybody the universal health coverage that they need in the form of taxes, well then that's a problem for me because I don't get to buy my 5th house in Cabo, right? So they are fighting it as well. Large corporations that don't pay any fucking taxes. Netflix, Amazon, Google, Facebook, all of these fuckers. Exxon, Ford, GM, all of them. GM. All of these American-based companies that are making billions of dollars in profit while skirting American taxes, they are in the interest of making sure a Warren or Sanders presidency never happens.
Makes sense.
And so they implore people like former Mayor Bloomberg.
I was going to say, is that the other?
That's the other guy, yeah.
Because I cut you off.
They implore Deval Patrick to run. He's like, well, Biden's kind of slipping and he minces his words and forgets what state he's in. So maybe we should go with somebody else. Buttigieg is cool, but he literally is polling 0% amongst black people. So that's never going to work in a general election.
What percentage of black supporters does Trump have?
Maybe just above 0, but he has more than Buttigieg.
That's just crazy to me. That is nuts.
Right? What? How? How is that even possible? So yeah, they've added 2 new candidates in Deval Patrick and Michael Bloomberg. Deval Patrick gets an L because he just recently had to cancel a rally in Iowa because only 2 people showed up, and that's supposed to be the great brown hope for the. I didn't mention he's a black man.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2 people had to cancel a rally. And then Michael Bloomberg, if his name sounds familiar, in terms of New York, he was the father of Stop and Frisk. And he recently gave a half-hearted apology about Stop and Frisk after he literally just supported it like 3 months ago before he announced that he was running. Literally this year in 2019 was defending Stop and Frisk. And now, fast forward to the launch of your presidential campaign, you're at a black church somewhere in New York apologizing for Stop and Frisk. Boo fucking who? The hell with you. Get out of here.
Yeah.
So L's to Deval Patrick and Bloomberg, but it could ultimately end up an L for Elizabeth Warren, because I feel like if whatever votes they do gain, it will be from white affluent liberals. and that is a demographic that Warren and Sanders, I'll say, has pretty steadily held down over the course of the primary campaign. Let's see here. Big L to whatever Hollywood exec thought it would be a good idea for Julia Roberts to play Harriet fucking Tubman.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
in the latest Hollywood slave film, Harriet Tubman. I understand how money can set you into a different class. I understand how, like, if you don't interact with normal everyday people, you don't necessarily know what's going on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand it. You're not living it. It's not your reality. But what kind of detached asshole do you have to be to say one of the most prominent black figures in American history should be portrayed by a white woman?
I don't even know where that idea comes from. I don't know where that idea even.
How do you have as much money as you have thinking like that? So I need to know.
I don't know.
I need to understand.
I couldn't tell
How
you.
do you have as much money as you have with that type of thought process, that type of cognitive thought?
Right.
You know what? Harriet Tubman plus white woman equals success.
That doesn't make a lick of sense. I've seen some people comparing that to when they take comic book characters. And they're white. But they put a black character, black actor in there.
No.
That's an entirely fictional person.
Character. It's a person who didn't exist before they were written into a piece of paper.
Like, how do you even? That's another thing. Like, how do you even twist that? I can see that too.
I can see conservatives online talk. Oh, so you guys can have a black Ariel, but we can't have a white Harriet Tubman?
Yeah.
See, like, oh, come on, man. Come on.
Like, that doesn't make a lick of sense.
They would have burned a movie theater down if they would have marched white Harriet Tubman out here.
Oh, yeah.
Julia Roberts would have never gotten another acting job in her life.
For sure.
I don't even think she would have accepted that. I don't think she would have accepted the role.
No.
I don't know about Julia Roberts personally or what her politics are, but I have to believe that she has 2 brain cells.
Yes.
And if you rub those motherfuckers together, they will tell you that if you're white, you probably shouldn't play Harriet Tubman in a movie.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean?
All right. So any other W's, L's?
Yeah. Hey, so speaking of the Harriet Tubman shit,
Okay.
did you see Judge Joe Brown
I did not.
talking about the going back and forth with? At first, he was talking with Dr. Umar Johnson about Harriet Tubman being on the $20 bill, right? Which he spazzed about. He was like, I don't think Harriet Tubman should be on the $20 bill until they put a black man on a bill. Right? So that was his first thing.
Okay.
And he was going back and forth with him about that. And then the Breakfast Club said something about it, and they basically called him stupid for it. And then he basically challenged the Breakfast Club to a debate on this subject, I guess, about Harriet Tubman being on the bill.
So he
where
challenged
a black man.
1 versus 3.
Sure. He also called them what do you call them? Soft and moist and squishy Breakfast Club Pop-Tarts.
I did see something about
like that. Soft and squishy?
Yeah.
Was what he called them?
Or soggy or something like that.
Soggy, that's what it was. Yeah. Soft and soggy.
I didn't know what that was, but I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah. His whole premise was that historically, when you talk about prominence and the type of iconic figures a nation upholds, historically, it happens to the men before it happens to the women. And what they're trying to say about black men, in this case, if you are putting Harriet Tubman on the bill, is that there aren't any black men good enough, right? Basically, to the detriment of the black men raising the black woman.
It's a very Hotep way of looking at it.
He's right. Sure. Historically, he's right. That don't make him correct, right? Yeah. I mean, just the fact of the matter is, most races, when you look at it, hold their men. I mean, that's the history of patriarchy, right? Hold their men above the women. Now, that doesn't make it right. Sure. I would say more so than any other race, black women are held to a higher esteem than women and Caucasians, Indians for sure, Asians for sure, right? Women are held to a much higher esteem in the African diaspora than in any other race, I would say.
Yeah.
Now, again, there is something to that, I think, though, about, because like, why wouldn't you go to have like Martin Luther King? They'll never have Malcolm X on anything, but
right.
Martin Luther King or Frederick Douglass or W.E.B. Du Bois, someone like that.
Sure.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I'm not going to cape for him saying that it should be a black man just for the sake of it being a black man.
Right. For sure.
I guess I can kind of understand where he was coming from, but his communication on that was terrible. It was awful. It just sounded like some down good old boy attitude towards women, and it just didn't. He could have communicated his point a lot better. I felt like maybe he had a little too many that morning before he did that interview.
I think it's just as simple as saying there's people, specifically black people, that mean more to what America is today than
Harriet Tubman,
or just than some of the people that we have on some of the dollars that we have.
True. I mean, you look at a lot of them founding fathers that they got popping up on these bills, slave owner after slave owner. You know what I mean? You just don't have the.
Some of them you don't even realize like who they are and what they've done as compared to MLK or Harriet Tubman in that case.
Who's on the $5 bill? Is that still Jackson?
Lincoln's
on the 5. Oh shit.
Yeah. Jackson is on the 20 now.
Yeah. See.
Yeah. Jackson,
which I guess would be the reason for changing it to Harriet Tubman.
I can't remember what. I can see the 50. I just can't think of who's on it. I can't think of what his name is. Grant? It has to be Grant. It's Grant.
On the 20 right now?
On the 50.
On the 50. Yeah.
Ulysses Grant.
And then Benjamin Franklin on the 100.
I can see Benjamin Franklin, Washington, Lincoln. Then after that, it's like, when we talk about shaping America.
I hate to talk about people's favorite founding fathers, but most of them were morally deplorable. So it just kind of is what it is. If you own the person as a
right
as a good or a means of service, you're kind of a piece of shit. I mean,
yeah.
Because to Ben Franklin for the whole electricity thing and George Washington for being our first president, but all of them were deplorable people. So
right.
I don't think you really have an argument for keeping any of them. So we got off of that Hollywood exec, BET / Tyler Perry / Viacom.
Okay.
Let me give it to you. So I was talking about this on when was the dim debate? Wednesday, right? And I was talking to you about it, and I was getting in BET's ass, and then I got into Tyler Perry's ass, and I'm like, how is it that you have this new contract with BET, right? Right? You have a new programming contract with BET. You also have a new $1 billion studio where you're holding the national Democratic debate, primary debate, at your studio. At that time, for that 2.5 hour block, instead of broadcasting that event from your studios on the network you're in a contractual agreement with, they're playing one of your bullshit ass TV shows. Literally, it was one of Tyler Perry's TV shows.
Yikes.
So that confused me. But then she kind of made it make sense to me. She's like, well, you don't know, because it was an MSNBC hosted event.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's like, well, you don't know, what they could have done or how they got it worked out or if it was even their decision. I'm like, you know what? You're right. So then I got to throw somebody else into this. And that's Viacom. Because as Viacom, you have BET, you have VH1, you have MTV, you have a plethora of networks that you could have aired this on. And again, it's nothing but positive because it is getting national recognition for one of your networks. It's putting you on a map.
To the demographics that it needs to go to.
I'm sure that if MSNBC was going to be holding a debate at one of the studios under your umbrella, under the Viacom umbrella, that they would have had to clear something with you. You know, I'm not saying I know all the ins and outs of how this negotiation went. I'm just saying somebody didn't work hard enough to get Baby Boy off of BET on Friday night and get the fucking damn debate on there.
Yeah.
At what point, BET, are you going to start legitimizing? You know what I mean? Like, at some point, you have to be more than reality TV and rerun classic hood flicks that we all love, but even black people don't watch BET nowadays.
Yeah.
I feel like their whole attitude wasn't, well, we'll just improve the programming. Same type of programming, same genre, we'll just improve on it. There still isn't a black network out there that has a daily news show.
Yeah.
Not TV One, not Centric, not BET, nobody. None of them. At what point do you start to legitimize? At what point
BET
do you start
used to have that. They haven't had it in 20 years.
It's been a while. I feel like TV One had one too with Roland Martin, but whatever happened there, he's got his own thing now.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel like that was a big opportunity that was missed by a lot of parties on the side of Tyler Perry for sure. You're hosting a dim debate. Don't let it just air on MSNBC. How about kick some of that to your people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look out. Let's think forward.
That would go to the demographics that it needs to. Younger voters. Like if it went on MTV and VH1, younger voters.
And that's another
black
thing.
voters.
This is the second time that they've done one of these debates at a predominantly black area, and black issues just were talked about in a fleeting matter. Right? They were in Houston at a HBCU, and black issues just was like a one-off topic.
Yeah.
Same thing here. You're literally in Tyler Perry Studios in Atlanta, Georgia.
I think it was talked about more in Houston
than it was in this last one.
It was talked about much more in Houston.
I don't know, man. I like I said, I just feel like that was a big missed opportunity.
Yes, agreed.
For all involved.
Agreed.
I really would have liked to have seen that playing on at least one of those fucking networks that are playing reruns of whatever that night.
Yeah.
So that's it for me, dog.
All right. First off, big dub to Deontay Wilder.
To this day,
he got the
Did
dub.
he beat Ortiz last night?
He did.
Cool,
it was
cool.
a 7th round knockout. And that right hook.
That boy is a knockout machine.
Yes.
He is a knockout machine.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to see him and Andy.
I can't wait to see him and Fury.
And Andy Rose.
Fury is next.
I've already seen him against Fury.
Sure.
And I'm sure the second one will be just as good as a fight. I want to see him against Andy Ruiz.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz got them hands, man.
Well, apparently that might be the one after this one, after Fury. Because Fury's happening in February.
Okay.
And then I believe he said he wants to go for unification after that.
Boy, that's gonna be about.
Yeah.
And then he can go whoop Anthony Joshua. Ain't nobody thinking about Anthony Joshua right now.
Right.
He need another big fight.
Yeah.
Because he just got the wind knocked out of his sails against Ortiz. Fat boy whooped him up.
Right. So
he got to get his respect back.
Huge dub to Deontay Wilder. I don't know if I want to talk about this or not. So I guess I'll just talk about it. Did you see Eric Swalwell? Do you remember Eric Swalwell when he was running for president?
Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah. So there's this huge social media thing about whether or not when he was getting interviewed by, I believe it was somebody on CNN, that he let one go during the interview.
What?
Yeah. So I guess let me see who it was. MSNBC interview.
Dog, how did you fart on camera?
So
you gotta suck that one back up, dog.
MSNBC was interviewing him, and so the people from MSNBC said that it was actually just a mug that was sliding across the table, and that was the noise. But when you look at the video, and I'm about to show you the video in a second, you can see him, his like right eye twitches. You can see him like his shoulders like move as if he's doing one of these. Mm-hmm. And he stops talking for the duration of it. So no, I don't believe that was a cup.
Man, first of all, why are they
Chris,
caping
so
for
far,
Swalwell?
the evidence
is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard the call.
Like that, like it's very clear that he just stops talking.
Dog, he jumped.
Right.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I heard from Republicans all last
And
week.
he just like stops talking. He pauses talking completely.
Dog, what kind of fucking cup is that? What kind of cup on what type of table makes that noise?
I don't know.
Man, get the fuck out of here.
He definitely clearly farted during an interview and just thought he was going to get that off. And nobody was going to say anything.
Yo, what the fuck?
I didn't know if I wanted to talk about that, but
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What?
crazy.
It is clear that the president... How you gonna shit yourself while you doing an interview with MSNBC? Oh my,
He thought he was going to get that one off too. That is nuts.
Bruh. That's funny. That was funny.
So, another music thing. I'm going to give an L to the people who are kind of talking about Summer Walker's like anxiety.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of corny too.
Yeah, it just all looks bad. Like Summer Walker very clearly is just not a very public person. And when she goes into these public, forums and venues,
Give us the background.
I don't remember
flowing in the stories.
I don't remember what the first thing was.
So I think it was built around like somebody had said something about her not like giving out hugs when she goes to like meet and greets and signings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so they dogged her for that. And then ever since then they've been on her ass about like how she interacts with fans and stuff like that. And I just people forget that like these people that you out here idolizing for frivolous reasons are just regular human beings.
Right.
She just doesn't like to be touched.
Yeah.
That's her thing, man. Like, it's not rude to just not want someone touching you.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's not rude at all.
The only thing that I saw was she was accepting an award, and like I think she was visibly shaking, and like she couldn't get through the speech almost. She like rushed through it and just said, thank London on the track, and just like dipped. And people were still just kind of talking about it. And it's just like, bro, if she's anxious and she doesn't give it up like that, like just chill on her. Like it's not that serious.
Used to these motherfuckers getting up there and lying to y'all and pretending that they like y'all, that when somebody get up there and they actually nervous about being in front of millions of people and all these cameras and shit, it's like, what's really rude is people's assertion that they're entitled to people's lives like that. Like, yeah. I'm entitled to your time. I'm entitled to your thoughts, to your words. I'm entitled to it. You're not entitled to anything that she doesn't want to give you.
Right.
If she want to get up there and be like, appreciate it, and walk off the stage, that's all she has to give you.
She don't even have to be on stage.
She don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
She can send somebody up there and grab her shit and throw you the deuces from her seat.
Yeah.
Like, you're not entitled to anyone doing anything that you expect them to do.
Mm-hmm. She didn't have to show up to the award show.
She didn't even have to come to the damn awards, bro.
She don't have to tour. She don't have to do none of that.
People.
That's crazy.
I blame it halfway on all these networks, the way that they kind of not weaponize but monetize people's lives in the forms of reality TV. Because then that makes you want it from not just the petty celebrities that they offer up on VH1 or BET, but it makes you long for other people as well. When you see Stevie J and Faith Evans and Rashida and all them acting a fool on Love and Hip Hop, oh, well, hey, I want that from everybody.
Right.
I want that kind of access with everybody. Yeah. Everybody should go out here and act a fool just like them and let everybody in their business.
For sure. Everybody
should just be fake and give all their undevoted attention and whatever.
Why not?
To us, because we're the fans.
I think social media has a huge part to play with that as well.
Yeah.
Just because your favorite artists are 24/7 accessible.
Yeah.
They're videotaping their lives. No, not at all. if a person doesn't want to give that up, they don't have to.
They don't have to. Exactly.
So, I mean, huge fan of Summer Walker from what I've heard from her. And,
Album was dope.
Yeah,
Oh, you didn't? Really? That's surprising.
So anyway.
Listen to shit.
Shut up, bro. The last thing I wanted to talk about, huge dub to MJ turning 2.
Hey.
So just wanted to give a huge dub to that. The party was dope.
Great party. Great Mickey Mouse Clubhouse party there last weekend. Appreciate everybody for coming out.
For sure. Anything else you wanted to talk about at all?
Nah, man. I think that's a good place to end it. We going in a new direction.
Yes.
But I don't think much is going to change about the way that we bring you guys content and information. So
not at all. If anything,
we're good, man, it's a good place to wrap it up.
I think if anything, we're going to increase content coming out
for sure.
We're getting a little bit of love on Facebook and YouTube. So just to let y'all know, Facebook Back of the Bus podcast, YouTube search Back of the Bus, all that good stuff. So Twitter,
subscribe, comment, all that shit.
Share it. Let people know. Let people know that we're doing something major.
Sure.
We out.
Peace.
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 We out.